I am truly exhausted. That live interview, I just have realized how not over Owen. And Owen and I were just friends. He was like an older brother I always wish I had. So this mess is just starting to come all out. Terry Joyce yesterday posted this thing and it criticized Thomas and, oh, you're a stalker, blah, 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 blah. But then she posted the link to a video that he just made. And I'll put everything in the description because it was Thomas's video defending Thomas. So now Tara Joyce, even though she's saying, oh, you're a stalker, is putting the link out so people will watch Thomas's video. And why? Because they're all afraid. They are all afraid. Now that they are being investigated, what is going to happen is the investigators are going to go away from the whole Isaac Cappy thing and the whole me thing. Because I think there is so much more behind all of this. And I just needed this group to be looked at, to be investigated. My last video where I speak about the darkness, I know it isn't pleasant and it isn't a feel-good message. But this morning, what I realized was at this moment in time, because of who I am, I'm like a herder. And I'm herding all of the goats. That's my focus, is all of the goats. Because the goats are being separated from the sheep. And they raised me to believe that I was going to be the vessel for the Antichrist. I went through a lot of training. A lot of it is like energy training. Perfect example. Energy can be neither created nor destroyed. First law of quantum physics. However, it can be directed. And Aquino and his group, and it was more his group and Aquino. Aquino was assigned to me, but like I said, as a kid, he didn't seem like he was in charge. But throughout all the stuff that I went through, both in Hummel Park and off at Air Force Base, it's not like any of them introduced themselves to me or explained what was happening. But they called the training that I went through, they were trying to make super soldiers. And this is one of the things that I know about it. Any social worker worth their salt will tell you that an abused child becomes hypersensitive to their environment. And these Nazis just were taking it to the next level. Because they were taking basically children who were incredibly intelligent, who were very empathic and cared about people, and then just put us through fucking trauma to try and see what we could do mentally. Because they wanted people who didn't have to have rituals. They could just do the shit by thinking about it. That's what it was. When I, way back when I used to read tarot cards, which I just, fuck that now, excuse my language, but I always told people, tarot cards are just pretty pictures on pieces of paper. They mean nothing. I don't need tarot cards, but people don't like it when you can look into their head and read them. And then you tell them what you see. It has a tendency to scare people. That's been my experience as a kid. That's why I went into therapy, because I didn't want to do that anymore. I can still do it, but now I can control it. But that's what they were teaching. That's what Aquino's thing was teaching. If you are inclined to the dark, you are fucked. because all of the gamma radiation from all of these X flares are feeding everything in a negative way. If you have love in your heart, it's going to take, you're going to have to try harder. But if you are inclined to the dark, it's going to make you even more inclined to the dark, because it's causing stress and chaos all over the world. And it's what's heating everything up. The sun is cooking us. And it's only a matter of time before a Carrington event happens and takes down the power grids or the satellites, because they're not built for the type of radiation we're being inundated with. Not to mention the shit from Betelgeuse is on its way. It's only 90 million light years away in space. That's not shit. I figured 2025, and it's headed right for us. I don't like this position, but I'm in this position because my promise in all of this is there will come a day when I will never have to look back at any of this ever again. But it makes perfect sense when you consider the fact that they bound me to the dark when I was a kid. That was the whole part of being a vessel for the Antichrist. And their group pledged their entire group souls to me, even though it wasn't meant for me, still. And when I gave all of those bonds to the dark, that's when things became very interesting. And they're interesting now. You know, this group that I'm battling with Isaac Cappy, is now going to ensnare the rest of them. You know, as I said, I was told that I needed them to get them to willingly bind themselves to me as adults. And they have, as a whole, throughout the years. And the reason why I'm still here and living through the stuff is because I had to live through their shit. Because you can only reap what you sow. And so I needed to know what all of their shit was like. So their toys and their games and all of the vile, evil, I know them well. And so the darkness knows them well. And how can you run from something that's inside of you? They all danced around acting like victims, saying that I threatened them in my last video. What they all need to understand is it's not a threat. It's a promise. It's a promise. I'm telling you how it is, whether or not you agree, whether or not you understand, whether or not it's the same game your group plays, you know, the same game. Only I'm out in the open. I'm not doing all of this puzzle shit that people would have to figure out. But we're at the end, but I'm exhausted, and what I've realized is that I just really miss my brother Owen. You know, he was just. And they should have never gone after him, because within me, it's changed everything drastically. I'm a lot meaner than I was before. I just have to admit that. I'm a lot meaner. And I'm really good at directing the dark. If you have dark in your hearts, you ain't gonna like what's ahead of you. Repent now, for the time is here!